Has National Treasury released funds to the counties?
For other things apart from...
for what they're supposed to give the counties.
Yeah, apparently they got their October money.
See, the reason why I'm asking is something called task shifting.
Yeah.
If National Treasury has not given you money, but you've been given money, and you have an impending disaster or one which is staring at you in the face, what do you do? Complain that the government hasn't given you money, or do you sort out your people? What do you do?
Well,
because it's not as though you don't have money.
You do what you can.
With what you have.
Yes.
With what you have.
Yes.
But at the same time, talk about what you don't.
Yes. But what we have done is always lacking in this conversation. It is always we are helpless and we need help, and the national government has not. Because if someone began the conversation by saying, we have been able to do this, it has cost us this. In this place, we've done this and this and this. But now this is beyond our capacity. It's a completely different story.
Indeed, it's very interesting because the Deputy President, Gachagua, said that the government has actually, the National Treasury, has actually released 10 billion shillings to Why are you laughing? So you wait for me to finish reading the story. Shh.
Has released 10
billion shillings to counties hard hit by El Nino rains and floods. He advised the affected counties to postpone their development plans and redirect funds to address the effects of the floods.
It makes sense.
Capish?
Okay.
The DP, however, accused Mombasa Governor Abdul Swamad Nasir of folding his arms, waiting for help from Nairobi. He also said Mombasa has the worst drainage system, which has worsened the floods after heavy rains. That one, you should have fixed it. Instead of coming to us and telling us that you can't, you should have fixed that thing before. You should borrow a lift from Nairobi, who has deployed the youth, boats, to unclog its drainage system. Instead of sitting and complaining, he should buy food for his people because he has money. What kind of rubbish? But Nasir has been distributing food to families affected by floods since last week. Gachagua said some counties have bought food to supplement efforts by the national government and feed families affected by floods. Now you should buy food and stop complaining. You should have fixed the drainage. We would not have had these major issues that we have today.
He says, nimetoa madege ya kupeleka chakula. Wewe nunulia watu yako chakula, uniitishe dege. Like you're saying, City, so there are two things. One, so counties have their budgets, and in that budget there's usually the emergencies budget. That emergencies budget, let's just assume that some of these counties like Mombasa, like Lamu, like those counties in the northeast that have been severely affected, let's just say that they have using that money right now to move people around, to feed people, because that is happening. There's some feeding of people and all, right? And let's say it's not enough. What else can they do? One of the things, last night on KTN, I was with Eldath MP Adan Kainan, and they were saying, yes, our county of Wajir has actually done something, but maybe what they need to do now is convene urgently the county assemblies and urge them to do a supplementary. Some of the money that we had earmarked for development, this development, the other, let's just see and how we can reallocate it to helping the people right now. But also, the national government has released not a coin for emergency and disaster response. The money that has been released is for equitable share to the counties. Now, the person who chairs the national issue is the Deputy President Gachagua,
yes,
who is talking about releasing helicopters and they need to go and distribute food. But in terms of coordination of what exactly, which counties are hard hit, who needs support, how are we distributing that support? How are we using the Red Cross, the military, the police, the Ngao offices? How are we using all these ones to actually support the people who are in dire need? We're not hearing that.
Which means there is no plan.
There's just completely
there's
poor
talk,
coordination.
But there is no plan. Because, in all honesty, are you saying, for instance, here we have all these government services, these government departments, that on an ordinary day go about their business but are able to do everything beyond their capacity. You've mentioned national youth. Mombasa has the Navy. Mombasa has the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
They have the engineering corps. These fellows have been known to build bridges.
Yep.
National youth have been known to build roads. Are you telling me that whatever means the government has at its disposal has been fully No.
It has not.
It has not.
And that's what we were talking about even here yesterday and the day before. That coordination at national level is seriously wanting, completely wanting, because you don't hear what we spoke to Governor Abdul Swamad last night. The governors of Mandera and Wajir and Marsabit and Garissa
Yes.
have also spoken out in media conferences and saying, you know what, we are not getting that coordination. Governor Barasa, who's the chair of the Finance Committee of the Council of Governors, is not having any meetings with Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on how to coordinate these things. So Rigathi is just going around to Mombasa with
Giving
a few
food.
trucks and calling out people. But he should be holding meetings in Nairobi and saying, so on a daily basis, this is the war room. This is what we are doing.
You know,
On a daily basis, receive a report. Last night, there was X amount of rain that fell in this area. So Eldas Town, for example, has been completely washed off. The people who live in Eldas Town, that's the county headquarters of Eldas constituency, according to their MP, are all living in makeshift camps. All of them.
they're all destitute.
You can imagine, if this is the constituency headquarters, this is where you'll find the DO's office.
And it's been
This
washed
is where
out.
you'll find the hospital. This is where you'll find some services. All those have been washed out. The road to get to Wajir from Garissa, that's the same one that will take you to Mandera, washed out. So people who need to even travel cannot travel. But what you're hearing is just, oh, well, back up,
Goja, let her
You know,
pesa, we can.
you know, for purpose of optics and the appearance that you're doing something, it is good. But this isn't one of those slap tap things where you're supposed to sort of like give the impression that something is being done. Whether you give mattresses, whether you give blankets, that's not what is needed. Not really.
The thing is that even if 100 billion were to rain down today, they would not know where to start.
Without a plan.
There's no plan.
Well, what are you going to do with it?
You don't know. Are we putting people in camps? Are we putting camps together? Are we buying food rations? Are we making sure that people can move to semi-permanent structures? Are we clearing out drainage issues? What are we doing? There's no plan.
Hospital,
Are we setting up makeshift hospitals in tents with the help of the Red Cross? Are we looking at the information that is coming from Kenya Met to now know how long we're going to need this for? Are we doing that?
You know,
That's what I'm saying. It is not a money issue. It isn't. It rarely is.
This problem
it's
that
a
you
lack of governance issue.
Hey, Bwana.
this thing that you see in Kisauni, you would have assumed, as you say correctly, that professionals would have been called in. Say, guys, this problem in Kisauni, those who understand these things, what do we need to do so that these water levels go down immediately? Because they can. Kisauni is not far from the sea, by the way, just that you understand. It's on the mainland, yes. But how do we solve this thing? There are people who know exactly what needs to be done. Have you heard of steps being taken to ensure that this is done or that this doesn't happen again? Because if nothing is done,
You know one thing that's very clear? The water needs an outlet.
and sooner rather than later.
There is no outlet at this point. What are you doing? And this is what should have been done. And like you're saying, there are people who went to school to read this thing. They
know.
understand very well what
They
needs
know.
to be done.
They know exactly
Have
what
they
you need to
been
do.
engaged?
No. No, they haven't been engaged.
My head hurts.
No, they haven't been engaged. Anyway,
It's a humanitarian disaster.
Yes.
And the government is playing politics with it. The job of coordinating national emergencies is the national government job.
but you know, sometimes I have to look at this thing and consider. Sometimes, is it that someone has been given a job that is beyond their capacity? Because you're expecting someone to do something that they actually can't do. And what you're seeing is what they can do.
Yeah, you know, I used to argue with I used to argue with you on this point that capacity and ability go hand in hand,
No.
but they don't.
Yeah.
Because if you've been tasked to do something, and it could be a bunch of us all been tasked to do something, but over and over and over in a repetitive form, I don't do it. I'm basically telling you that I cannot.
Yes.
I am not. I can't.
What you see them doing is
I am
perhaps the
unable.
extent and the limit of their capacity. And
Yeah.
this is the thing you're looking for. Is never really going to be done by that individual or that
No.
group of people that you ask.
And it is clear.
Was Rigathi a poor DO, DC, whatever he was?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Because this is somebody who has been an administrator. An administrator, these are the people who actually plan things at that
An
local level.
administrator in this country is somebody who has the mindset and the training to be able to coordinate such
coordinate things.
That's what they're supposed
That's
to
their
do.
training. They went to
Yes.
Kenya School of Government, whatever it was called before. What was it called before?
Kenya School of Administration.
That
whatever.
one.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what they were being told. That's what they were taught before you were deployed and you wear that hard hat.
And you had to pass exams.
You had to pass exams. So this is somebody who has been an administrator.
He knows.
In government. And now he's a deputy president. And he has a task of coordinating relief.
You know, every time something happened in a division, it was the DO who handled those things. Everything. You know, you were the president's personal representative in that area.
Yeah.
What would have been done at the national level, it is you.
It is you
who does all those things. So this is not someone who is unaccustomed to situations where you are supposed to make decisions and take responsibility. That's not it. But somehow the politics seems to have taken the lead on this particular
It's the main thing.
It is a poor showing. And you know what is going to happen? The rain will stop. The water will dry up. People will return to their living. And then life will continue. And we will still be left with this poor display of inability to get the job done. It's cyclical in nature, and until and unless it's dealt with, it's just going to happen again. Then there will be drought, and then there will be rain.
It's an attitude problem, I think.
Big time. That's what
it's an attitude. When there was an issue in Nakuru where there were people who were being moved, evicted, right? And there was outcry. The deputy president went there. He fired a local chief or something because of this demolitions happening in the middle of the night, right? It's because these are people that he was connected to. The people of the north are not people that this government is feeling connected to.
They're telling you very plainly that we don't care about you,
They
man.
just don't give a hoot.
And it's being
We have
told.
talked about years of marginalization in these counties, in the ASAL counties, in the coastal counties. We are still seeing it being manifest again this time. If this was happening, and let's just call it, if this was happening in Mount Kenya, or it was happening in the North Rift, or it was happening in Nairobi, you'd see some more serious direct action. You don't see a thing. Roads demolished. You are not seeing the cabinet secretary for roads talking about how they're going to repair, or at least make people be able to travel.
Eric, you're being...
Hospitals shut down. You're not seeing the cabinet secretary for health talking.
No.
You are not hearing anything that sounds like a coordinated effort from government.
As you say correctly,
it's an attitude issue.
With our rains and everything that's happening, the minister in charge of health should be at the forefront of talking to Kenyans and telling them what to expect, the diseases that are likely to happen, the precautions that you need to take, what you need to do, not a squeak.
No, she's preparing the Gazette for Chief.
Not a squeak.
It's really, really, really painful.
It's terrible.
It's really painful.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.